Hey, good morning everyone, and happy Wednesday. It's a hump day for those of us that are keeping track of what day of the week it is, and happy April 1st. So I don't think we're celebrating April Fool's Day, but it is April 1st. Today we're going to talk about poetry, and this is something that Dr. Caroline Musselwhite kind of taught me about, and I have been very passionate about it ever since because it's an absolute wonderful way for our students to express themselves. And oftentimes they don't have that opportunity to freely talk about what they want to talk about, but it's got a little bit of structure. So you're kind of teaching them to be imaginative and creative. And the lovely thing about poetry is there's no right or wrong answers. Poems can be really long, poems can be really short, so you can have everything from Robert Frost and Emily Dickinson to Shel Silverstein and Dr. Seuss. So the Language Lab has a wonderful array of different poetry templates that you can use, and you can use these a variety of different ways. If you have a high-end communication device, a dedicated communication device that has the ability to do computer emulation, all you need is a USB cable or a Bluetooth connector, and the student's device can become the keyboard. It's just an alternative keyboard, and so when you plug that in and get it all set up, the computer will recognize the device as an alternative keyboard. So that can be very motivating for some of our students to be able to kind of use their icon sequences and it comes up as text on the computer. It's really kind of cool. If you don't have the capability or you're working with an app or maybe a low-tech manual board, then you can simply transpose that for the students. And I suggest that as they're writing their poems that you save them all so that they have a book of their own poetry, and then also encourage them to share and read their poems to other people. So maybe if you're kind of quarantined and you're locked down and you're looking for something to do as a family, you can actually have a poetry slam and you can use the templates with all of the family members and everybody can write their own poems. So, and then share them. So that's the whole purpose. But allowing the student to share their poetry will give them the opportunity again to practice those words again and again and again. And it's kind of motivating to be able to share your thoughts and feelings with other people. It's kind of cool. So let's take a look at some of these. So we have here a very simple poem. This is probably the easiest one that you can start with, and it's just a list poem. So we have our emotions up here. We have our little emoticons, really cute ones. And down here is just a column of words that the student can find that makes them feel silly or makes them feel angry or makes them excited. And so you can just have a simple list of of words in this poem. And we have done these list poems a million different ways. So we often do these, I am the queen of going to the dollar store. And so we will often, you can go to the dollar store and get these little bookmark kits. And so you get little cardboard bookmarks and you wrap them in foil. So we use those at our community groups, and we might write a poem about moms. And so I'll sit there with a student. I'm like, I need 5 words to describe your mom. And I'm sitting there with one of the clients the one day, and she said, bleachers, apple, fire, camp. And she was saying all these random words, and I was just like, are you sure that's what you want? And she was like, yep. So we wrote them all down, and when mom came to pick her up and got that bookmark with those words on it, every one of those words had meaning to that family. So it was kind of cool. So Rebecca was able to share a very nice Mother's Day present with her mom that she wrote all by herself. So the next one is a template that you can use a variety of different ways. So if you've been following my live stuff, and hello Deborah, hi Beth, then you know that I talk about repetition with variety and using the same activity a variety of different ways. And so the student understands the rules of the activity, but they can play for different objectives and different language objectives. So this one is a simple I like poem. I like and I don't like. You can also say I want, or I need, or she is, or the dog is, or the dog wants. And you can do this a variety of different ways. So you're working on pronoun phrases I like and I don't like. So you can do a gazillion different pronoun phrases. He, she, we, they, all of those can be very different. Hey, Nat, I haven't seen you in a while. Nice to see you online. So that's your simple I like poem. And again, you can do this a whole variety of different ways. And then building on that, we have our Mom Is poem. So as we are coming up to the spring, we have Mother's Day and Father's Day that's coming up. So this is a great template that you can use with your students, that they can, again, you do that Mom Is poem. So instead of a list poem that I talked about, this one is specifically about Mom Is and Mom Is Not. All right, and again, you're going to be pleasantly surprised when you see the words that your student comes up with, because they're writing about something that they care about. And sometimes it's not always going to make sense to us, but it will make sense to Mom. All right, and usually they're dead on and they're fabulous. All right, another very simple template that we have on the lab is a simple color poem. So red is, what does red represent to you? So red could be something concrete like an apple, but red might also mean angry, or red might mean, siren, because you hear the fire truck and you see a red fire truck. I mean, it could be anything. So we have some simple color poems on the lab then that you can talk about red and yellow. And again, you can change this a million different ways. So you could say the rainbow is, which is a rainbow, or you could, it's just unlimited, the activities that you can come up with simple poetry templates, okay? The next one is going to be a little bit more complex, and this is a cinquain. And so now we can introduce kind of some grammatical categories to our students. So we can talk about describing words, which are called adjectives, and we can talk about action words, which are verbs, and then we can probably model and talk about how to write a complete sentence. So a cinquain poem can be written about absolutely anything. So we have done this with groups of kids where we did chocolate, or we did bugs, or we did, absolutely anything that you can think of could be a topic. So the way that it works is you pick your topic word, and then you might choose that word, or maybe the student has something that they really want to write about, okay? And then you talk about two words that describe that. So if I was talking about chocolate, I would say yummy and sweet. And if I was talking about verbs, I might say eat, share, drop, because I have a dog and he'd probably eat it, which is not good for him, but And then a sentence, I love chocolate. And then another word that could be a synonym or an example of chocolate. So I might say Reese's or Hershey Kiss or something like that. So a really fun poem that you can do a variety of different ways. Now the next poem is this is a hope poem, and it's talking about your senses. So we've got, if hope was a sound, it would sound like what? Now hope is kind of abstract, and this is a fun one that you can do. Hey, Deanna, and you're going to know all of this stuff, Deanna, because we've done this together. So Deanna is here. Hi. So this can be done really, the first time you do it is great to do it with a group of people, and everybody can contribute, and you can vote on your favorite one that you want to include in the poem, and then we all read that poem together. And then once you kind of model it and show an example of it, then the student can kind of do one on their own. But you can also change this around. So we have done this, we did this at camp one year, and it was campus. So if camp was a sound, what would it sound like? And, all the kids could think of all the things that they heard at camp. And if it was a color, what would it look like? And they could think of all the colors that they saw. So this is a really fun template. Again, you can use a variety of different ways. Again, that repetition with variety. And guys, it's funny, like you should not be touching your face, apparently, with this COVID stuff, but when you're on camera like this, that's all of a sudden when your nose starts itching. So it's just how it is, right? And Deanna's saying the camp is always smelly. Well, you know what? Not in my cabin, because my campers took a shower. All right, finally, our last template is going to be a little bit more complex, and this is a diamante. So it's kind of going to be in the shape of a diamond. So this one is a little bit more detailed, so maybe not start with this one, but we could actually, again, do this as a group together and model for what this would look like so the student can participate, and then they can do one on their own. But this is just like that cinquain, only it's a little bit more complex. So we have our topic, we have adjectives, then we have verbs, then we have nouns, and then back to verbs and back to adjectives. So you're finding a lot of different words. So this one, again, do it as a group, and then the students can do that individually after you kind of model for them some of the possibilities and where to find the words on their talker. Again, I highly recommend that you create some kind of virtual folder or print out those poems and make a book and have that for the students so they can read it over and over and over again, and make sure that you have a poetry slam or you have some way that they can share their poems. So maybe if we're, you know, in isolation and we're Skyping or Zoom with family members, that's a great fun activity that they can do with grandma, is read their poems to grandma.